So, as you might know, the education team, there's six of us on the team, and typically we spend our days going to primary schools, community centres, libraries, teaching about dogs. We teach about how to be safe around dogs and how to be responsible with dogs. And some of us are lucky enough to have an education dog. And I have my own Magic, who's just down there. Say hello to Magic. But obviously, in the last few weeks, that has not been the case because all the schools are closed. We've been really busy. The dogs have Magic has had some time off. The dogs have had it a bit quieter, but the education team, we've been really busy. All of us working from our offices and our homes, working on projects. So once the schools are back, we will hit the ground running. But we found that a lot of people were asking us questions via our Facebook and our Twitter about how to look after the dogs now they can't go for as long walks, and other kind of questions about what to do during this peculiar time with their dogs. So we thought it might be a nice idea to have a Facebook Live Q&A session. So we made a call for action. We asked for people, if they had a question, to record their videos, send them to us, and we would put them on Facebook Live today. And that's what we're doing. So we're going to get straight into it. We have our first question here.
Can I bring my dog for a walk?
So thank you for that lovely question. I never said beforehand, sorry, that was Kiara who asked that question, who is 3 years of age. So well done, Kiara, for asking that question. Can I still take my dog for a walk? The answer to that question is yes, but there are a few little conditions. First of all, and this applies any time actually, not just at the moment when during the current coronavirus pandemic, this applies all the time. Anytime you bring your dog for a walk, you should always have an adult with you, okay? You have to be over 18 to bring a dog for a walk on your own. So even if when things go back to normal, Kiara, we won't be taking our dogs for a walk on our own. Okay, that's just to make sure everyone is safe. At the moment, though, you can still bring your dog for a walk if you're with your family and people that you live in the household with, but only in a 2-kilometer radius of your house. Okay, so you can bring your dog for a walk maybe around your estate. If you live very, very close to a park or something, that is okay to walk your dog there. But you have to make sure that you keep your distance from any other families. Okay, or any other, even if you see your friends out with their dogs, you can't go over. You can give them a wave, but you can't go over to them. That's just the rules at the moment. Your dog might love playing with other dogs. Okay, I know Magic loves playing with other dogs, but at the moment we just have to keep that till after this is all finished and things go back to normal. Okay, so keep your dogs away from other dogs, and you can walk your dogs as long as you stay 2 kilometers from your house. There is another rule that you have to do when you walk your dog, and this also applies any time. This isn't just because of the moment, and that is, if you walk your dog, you have to scoop the poop. Now actually, that's not a child's job, that's an adult's job. The child's job is to make sure the adult is doing their job, so you can remind them. But we cannot, if a dog goes to the toilet, you can't leave it there. It must be picked up and put in the rubbish bin. Okay, it's against the law. And dog poo is full of lots of nasty germs. I mean, if it's picked up straight away with a plastic bag or a paper bag, it's fine. But if it's left there, the bacteria can grow and it can get kind of nasty. So to make sure that no one steps on it, you need to pick it up and put it in the bin. Well, not you, grown-ups. Okay, so well done, Kiara. Our next question is from Cathal, who is going to be 10 next month. Here is Cahil's question.
I'm really bored at the moment. Do dogs get bored too? Do they like to do the same stuff as we do?
Thank you for that question, Cathal. Great question. And I'm sorry that you're feeling a bit bored at the moment. I know we're all feeling a little bit strange at the moment. But to answer your question, which was a great question, yes, dogs do get bored just like humans. So a few things that you can do to entertain your dogs. When we mentioned earlier on in the last question about walking our dogs, and I'm sure you all notice every time you walk your dog, certainly when I walk my dog, every time you pass a tree, a bush, a wall, the dog will stop to sniff it. And sometimes you might be a bit kind of, come on, we'll go for the walk, and you'll encourage the dog to walk rather than stop and smell. And at the moment, let them smell, you know? Let them give the sniff to the bush, to the tree, because when your dog smells things, that's really good for their brain. We're also going on probably less walks at the moment, which might mean your dog is a bit more bored. So use their sense of smell in games. Dogs' sense of smell is incredible. It is much, much better than our sense of smell. And you can take advantage of that with loads of games. We call them scent games. We actually put up a few of these games on our recent blog post, which you can look at our website. We'll give a link to that later on. But I'll just give you a quick example of a few scent games you could play. The first one is if you can get hold of a couple of cardboard boxes, and if you scatter these boxes around a room, and if you put one really stinky treat hidden away in one of the cardboard boxes, and then let the dog into the room and stand back and let the dog use its nose to find the treat. Okay, the dog will be able to look at it. It might take them a little while, and it might take them a while to figure out what they're meant to do, but they'll get there. And then once they've found the treat, you can then put them out of the room, put the treat in a different box, and keep starting over again. Just be aware that when they are kind of sniffing around the treat, just leave them at it. You know, when dogs are eating, we leave them alone. But once they found the treat, you can then replace it. If you don't have cardboard boxes, that's fine. Just maybe you could put the treat underneath the coffee table. Maybe you could put it behind a chair, behind a curtain. I will just say though, if you're doing it that way, just make sure you're getting permission. If the treat is like a sticky bit of a sausage meat or something, we don't want any mums or dads complaining that there's sticky meat all around the house, so just get permission. Once you let the dog into the room, they can then use their nose again to find the treat. The great thing about the scent games is, if a dog plays that for 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, they'll be really tired, okay? Because they're using their brains. It's a bit like if you were in a classroom and you were at school all day long. Even though your body isn't active, you're using your brain constantly. So at the end of the day, you're quite tired. And it's the same for dogs, okay? Even though they're not going on big long walks, because you're using they're using their brain and their nose to locate the treat. There's a lot of activity happening, and that will tire them out just as much as a big long walk. If your dog, one other thing I just want to say before we move on to the next question. A lot of our houses are much busier at the moment than they normally are, and usually our dogs are alone for a few hours a day. You know, if you guys are at school, if your parents are at work, the dog will have the house to themselves for a few hours. That's not the case at the moment. Now, most dogs will be delighted with that. They'll be loving having loads of attention. But some dogs might find it a little bit overwhelming, all this activity in the house. Or, because there's so much more activity in the house, they might need to sleep a little more than usual. So, you might find that your dog is spending a lot of time in their bed, and that's fine. And if your dog is in their bed, let them stay there, okay? We never disturb a dog when they're sleeping, okay? I certainly don't like being disturbed when I'm sleeping. I'm sure you don't. Neither do dogs. You might think, oh, my dog's awake, his eyes are open and he's in his bed. And if that's the case, you could gently call them over. And if they get out of bed and they join you, that's great. They want to spend time with you. They want to play with you. But if your dog stays in their bed when you call them, or if they're asleep, I wouldn't even call them, then it's time just to leave them be. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Cathal. Okay, well done. Our next question is from Ronan, who is 5, and I believe his sister Elise is in the video as well. Okay, here's our next question.
If I don't have a dog, can I play with my neighbour's dog?
Great question, Ronan. That question was from Ronan. He was asking, he doesn't have a dog, so can he Can he pet his neighbour's dog? And I feel really mean saying this, because the answer is actually no, and I'll explain why. At the moment, the current rules are saying that there's some people that are getting sick, so we're to keep our distance from people who don't live in the same house as us. And the good news is that you won't get ill from going over to a dog. The dogs can't pass on this illness, which is great news. However, we have a very strict rule in Dogs Trust that you don't approach a dog unless that dog is with their owner that you know. So because we say don't go over to a dog that isn't with someone you know, that means that to pet a dog safely they must be with someone you know, and at the moment we're not allowed to go to people who aren't living in our household, and that would include our neighbour. So that means you can't go over to your neighbour's dog. So I'm sorry, I know that's probably not the answer that you want to hear, but what I thought I could do maybe is I could quickly go through when this is all over and we're allowed to visit our friends and family who don't live in the same house, including our neighbours. You will then be able to pet your neighbour's dog once the government says that we're allowed. And I thought I could teach you just very quickly how we could do that. And as is the way with these things, Magic, who would be Magic? No, Magic has gone for a little wander around the house. So I don't have a dog to practice on, but she left her teddy bear here, which is a dog. So let's pretend this is a real dog and you want to pet your neighbour's dog. Okay, so let's pretend this dog, I haven't given this dog a name. Okay, let's say it's Magic the Second. Let's say Magic the Second is my friend's dog, and I want to pet Magic the Second. The first thing I will do is I will walk over slowly to Magic the Second's owner. Okay, we never run to a dog because that might be scary. You walk over slowly, and then you ask Magic the Second's owner, "Can I pet your dog, please?" If they say no, that's fine. That's not your fault. But if they say, yeah, that's no problem, then just let the dog give you a little sniff, okay? Don't approach them. Don't put your hand out to them. Just let them make the decision to give you a little sniff. You have to pretend, use your imaginations that this is a real dog. Let the dog give you a little sniff. Once they do give you a sniff, then you can pet them where they like to be rubbed. We usually say the chin's a great place because the dog can see our hand. And the owner will let you know where they like to be rubbed. And that is how you pet a dog safely. Oh, Magic is coming back now. It's too late now, Magic. Anyway, there you go. So, our next question is from Cruz, who is 5 years of age. Here's our question from Cruz.
How many snacks should I give my dog?
Thank you, Cruz. That was Cruz that was asking that question. How many snacks can I give my dog? It's a good question. Well, something that we kind of have noticed is that our dogs are going on less walks than they usually are, which means they're getting a little less exercise than they usually are, which means they might be slightly more prone to putting on a little bit of weight. So you could maybe reduce their snacks a little bit. Okay, for example, every night, Magic, my dog Magic gets not every night, every second night, my dog Magic gets one of these. Okay, this is her every other night snack. But what I've done recently is I have, hopefully I can break this. Yeah, I've broken it in two. Now she gets half of one every other night, okay? And because we're doing a video today, I'll give her it today. She's delighted. Come on. There you go. So that's what we would say. Just maybe slightly reduce the snacks that they're getting because they are probably getting less exercise. I will say one thing, Cruz, this is to everyone regarding their dogs eating. And again, this has nothing to do with being stuck in at the moment. This is something that we should all be doing anyway. If your dog is chewing on a bone, or if your dog is having their dinner, leave them be. Okay? Don't rub them. Don't even kind of like spend too much time like staring at them while they're eating. I find it very uncomfortable if I'm eating and someone is staring at me. And Magic, my dog, is the exact same. So if a dog is eating, just leave them be. Okay. Hope that answers your question, Cruz. Our next question is from... Who is our next question from? Our next question is from Andrew. Let's see Andrew's question.
My doggy always takes my toys. How do I get him to take his own?
My doggy's always taking my dog's How do I get him to take my own? Well done, Andrew. That was a question from Andrew. His dog is chewing all his toys. That rings a bell, actually. I wonder, does Andrew have a puppy? I have a feeling he might have a puppy, because when I had a puppy, when Magic was a puppy, which was a long time ago now, she's 9 now, so 9 years ago when Magic was a little puppy, I came downstairs one day and discovered that she had chewed my PlayStation controller. She thought that it was her toy, and you know, gaming controllers, the buttons are kind of rubbery. She thought it was a big chew toy, and it was absolutely destroyed. And the thing is that wasn't really Magic's fault. That was my fault. We have to remember that dogs love to chew things. They love chewing things like toys, like shoes, like slippers. And if we really don't want them to chew something, we need to take that out of their vicinity. We need to take our toys and put them in our bedrooms. We need to put them high on shelves. And we have to be very careful. Like, some toys could be dangerous. Like if you have a toy with some batteries in it, you do not want your dog chewing that toy and swallowing the batteries. So it's really important then just to make sure they can't access those toys. So give them some of their own toys. Like, they love to chew, give them something they're allowed to chew, and give them a variety of toys. So Magic, for example, she has a tennis ball that she sometimes has a bit of a gnaw on. She has some teddy bear toys that she brings to bed with her. She has a rope toy if she really wants to chew something, she can chew that as much as she wants. And she has a squeaky toy that she loves, but for obvious reasons I don't give her that all the time. She gets that only occasionally because the house is just going to be squeaking constantly then. And that's what you could do with your dog, Andrew. You could give them some of these toys. I do want to say one little thing though. If your dog is chewing a toy that you don't want them to chew, don't take it away from them, okay? Maybe you could get someone in the household, an adult, a grown-up in the household, and they could do a swap, okay? So instead of just taking something away from them, offer them a swap, okay? You are giving them a treat or a toy that they're allowed to have in exchange for the thing they're chewing that they're not allowed to have. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Andrew. And here is our next one.
My dog's breath is stinky. What can I give him?
Oh, poor Elan. That was Elan, age 7, and Elan has a problem with her dog's stinky breath. So, well, that's not a nice problem. Okay, so just like just like humans, I should say, dogs can need to keep their mouths nice and clean. If you think that there's a bit of an issue, it could be a case that maybe you need to bring your dog to the vet and have the vet maybe look at his teeth. You might need them to be cleaned, or you don't know. There could be any reasons. It is a good idea when we have puppies to get them used to brushing their teeth. Now, I'm not recommending you go up to your bathroom and get your toothbrush and start brushing your dog's teeth. No. Don't do that, please. But maybe if you're concerned, you could say to your parents, or if there's any parents out there watching, and dogs can be trained to get their teeth brushed. It's a slightly different process to what we do, obviously. But before you do any of that, chat to your vet. So that's my answer, is that if you're really worried about your dog's stinky breath, Elan, have a chat with your vet. There's one thing I just want to say. It just crept into my head there when you asked your question. If your face is so close to your dog's that you're getting a lot of stinky breath, maybe your face is a bit too close to your dogs when you play. It's very hard to remember that dogs are animals. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but we sometimes forget they're just other members of our family. But dogs can't speak to us. They can't tell us if they're uncomfortable with things, if they're a little bit frustrated, if they're a bit nervous. They can't say that to us. And if your dog is feeling like that, and we know that some dogs get a bit nervous when we do things that we as humans love. For instance, humans love hugging, and dogs find that a little bit stressful. And another thing that dog might find stressful is your face right up in theirs. So if you think that, my dog's breath is stinky all the time, maybe your face is a little bit too close to your dog's, and maybe when you're playing with the dog in future, your play could be more about throwing ball for them, or playing, giving them little scratches on their head, that kind of thing, rather than really, really up and close, tactile affection with your dog. Does that make sense? Okay, good stuff. Our next question is from Noah, who is 5 years of age. Shoot away, Noah.
My name's Noah. I'm 12 years old. Can dogs talk?
Thanks, Noah. Noah was asking, can dogs talk? No, they can't talk. That doesn't mean they can't communicate, though. Dogs have lots of ways of communicating, and if you're not sure what's the difference between talking and communicating, well, talking is what I'm doing now. Well, if someone waves to you, gives you the thumbs up, that's communicating. And dogs have loads of ways of communicating. But because they can't talk, it can be difficult for them to send us little messages. And just this is actually a great question to have now, Noah, because remember when we were talking about them eating their dinner, and when we were talking about putting your face right up to them, and earlier on we mentioned about dogs sleeping. They're all things that we might think, oh sure, our dog is grand, sure that they're having a lovely time. But maybe if we do approach them when they're eating or sleeping, or just if we're a little bit too in their face, maybe they do feel a little bit stressed. Maybe they feel that it makes them a bit uncomfortable. But because they can't speak to us, well, that means they can't tell not something they are really enjoying. And we make our own dogs maybe a little bit more stressed, a little bit more worried. So the answer is no, they can't speak. So we have to make sure that we don't do things to them that upset them, because they haven't got the ability to tell us that upsets us. So, like I said, don't go up to dogs who aren't with their owners, okay? Because they can't tell us if they like strangers. Leave our dogs alone when they're eating, sleeping, and don't be putting your face all up in your dog's face. Does that make sense? Thank you, Noah. I think we've got time for one more question. And our last question is from Aidan. Our last question is from Aidan. So here's Aidan's question.
Who's looking after all the dogs in dog trusts?
Who's looking after all the dogs in Dogs Trust? Great question, Aidan. And can I just say, you have got the coolest hair I have seen in ages. It's one of the problems with this whole, when we're not allowed to leave our houses, is that all the hairdressers are closed, so we can't get our hair cut. I really need a haircut. Maybe I should just do what you did, Aidan, and just shave half my head. I don't think it would look quite as cool on me as it would on you. Anyway, who's looking after the dogs in the Dogs Trust? Great question. And you know what I really like about that is that you're not asking a question about your own dog, which is great. That's what I would do. But you're actually thinking about the dogs who don't have homes, the dogs that we're looking after in Dogs Trust. That's so lovely. And for those of you who don't know, our centre is in Finglas in Dublin, and we usually have about 150 or so dogs in Dogs Trust, waiting for their forever homes. And we have a huge team of canine carers, and a canine care is a person who looks after dogs. They take them on walks, they give them their medicine, they train them, they do looking after them, all sorts of things, and it's a really, really tough job. I actually was on the canine care team quite a few years ago before I joined the education team, and at the moment it's gotten even tougher because of the current, everything is a bit peculiar at the moment. So the amazing canine care team are going in every single day, making sure that those dogs are still given the best care. Okay. If there's one positive to say at the moment, is that because everyone is home all the time, we have a fostering program, and so a fostering program is so for people who can't maybe take care of a dog all the time, they can sign up to our fostering program, which means they could take care of a dog, maybe for a few weeks. And a lot of people do this anyway, but because with the current situation that's happening all over the country, everyone is stuck at home all the time. A lot of people who maybe usually their kids are at school, they're at work all day, they wouldn't be able to take a dog full time. They say, well, I'm actually free to foster a dog. So we've actually had great interest in our fosters, and a couple of our dogs are going out and foster, which is great news. But that is what is happening at the moment to all of our dogs, so you don't need to worry. And if you go to the main Dogs Trust page, which is www.dogstrust.ie, you can look at the dogs that we have in our care. I'm going to, I think that's pretty much all we have time for. So just a few thank yous. We want to thank all of the amazing children who sent in questions today. Unfortunately, this is the way these things work. We weren't able to feature every single person who asked a question. So if you didn't get your own question answered, I'm sorry. If we may be doing this again, so your question. So keep an eye out. We might do this again. We also want to make a big thank you to all of our amazing supporters. So Dogs Trust is a charity, and we rely on supporters who make very generous donations to the centre and allow us to continue helping the dogs. And now more than ever, we really, really need that. So thank you for everyone who has donated. And if you are stuck at home and young kids stuck at home, take a look at our education website, which is learnwithdogstrust.ie. And on that website we have some downloadable resources. We've got some puzzles, some colouring sheets, and we also will be launching a short story competition. So we're looking for young people all around the country to write 500 words, and the details of how to enter, when the closing date is, will also be on our education website, which is learnwithdogstrust.ie. So again, a big thank you for everyone listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. I'll just say, Magic, do you want to say goodbye to everyone on Facebook? Oh, poor Magic. She's enjoying her time off. She's quite a lazy girl, is Magic, but we'll go for a little walk now, I think. Okay, thank you guys. Bye bye.